exactly where I was going there, and I know there's other degree programs as well.
Well, in the other degree work, it is most
So is this something new that you guys have where like people are so specifically not to let me have access to it?
celebration.
Cross. I said about the only one worse than probably me, and that would be Paul Cross. No, I gotta say one of my best things was when I heard the rituals that's actually
So that's the
was Marshall that would just like text message bomb his phone and it was, where's the Grand Marshal? Where's the Grand Marshal? Because Ray would always
So in New Jersey, right? I was in New Jersey last week. And we were at the reunion, and the Grand Master was there, so his entourage. The Grand Marshal, bring in everybody. And their Grand Lodge office, they have. I mean, they bring in. So there was about 50 people. The Grand Marshal stands at the altar, introduces every one of them by name, every position that they have, no notes, just standing there, introducing everybody. Including you guys like me, who he only met like 10 minutes before. He had to know my name. He had to know I was a passport hooker, got a Michigan general. He had to know all of it. And I'm like, whoa, that's impressive. Also, over there. What about the flag? But they spent 3 years as an assistant Grand Marshal learning who all these people are.
It's very few kids who really know all the past grades.
So here's, if you haven't been told this, here's your actually real first piece of advice, at least from me, is that he's not really the he's the Grand Master, but the real Grand Master is such that level of pride and history. Like, basically, as
keep the wife happy.
At Grand Marshal, you make sure that the Grand Master is happy and everything's honored.
We've done that before. So we know Kathy pretty well.
Yeah.
7, 8 grand.
Oh, it's a county, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I went in the line right about, it was a year, Larry may have just went out the year I went in. Okay. So he went out of the chapter, but I kind of set it back up to get a But yeah, Larry was my guy, go-to guy. Sammy's my wife. Everybody else.
You know, unless he hasn't told you otherwise, you're going to want to be prepared to help. It used to be that you'd have
me, I got some bins back here, already bagged up. He told me I'm going to pass out one bag per KGP. So I know that much.
just BGP or DDI.
I said BGP.
I would ask him. I don't know how many pens are ordered. We would be doing.
Judging from the way the box is.
Well, we used to do 2,000. I didn't.
I think they went down to 6.
I only did 4,000. But you know, yes, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have everyone asking you what
You're the person that they're going to ask for everything, so you need to communicate
I
always
need to
with
make
them.
sure I find out what Larry's
Right,
doing, how it's
because
going.
you're the person that communicates all that to everybody else. Generally speaking, that's going to be up to
yeah, unless
him.
he says otherwise.
Yep.
They're gonna be asking you about the rest of the and see, for guys, it's usually relatively easy. But for the women, depending on, you know, we're the first lady. We've had like church dress. What the hell is church dress? I don't know. But you got cocktail, long dress, formal dress, church dress, whatever they found. If they say something, it'd be hard to know.
No. Light them now.
Because it changes so much.
Yeah, but what you want to do is get them so that they Okay.
Oh, but you know, so
Like these now. So they start in 2 minutes.
I don't think they're really accurate.
Yeah?
No,
We're going to start in 5 minutes.
I don't think it's gonna.
no, I was telling them that when
No,
I
it shouldn't.
when I worked swarming.
I just explained to Bill about doing this. You light them up a little. So you know,
it's something that's allowed to be sung, you know, it's already written, it makes sense, you shouldn't have. If it's something though, that's a decision of the song. Because we were both trying to skirt around. I mean, I said, there was nobody in the scenario.
Not me or you.
Better you. Next morning, imagine my surprise. Stolen. Went in and took the bag. Nothing. I didn't even know it until I was sitting up here on the dais. So yeah, all of it was supposed to be. You're right. So you're absolutely right.
So what we want to do, let's get all the Grand Lodge officers except for the Grand Master. You stay here.
That's what I said. Not our favorites. But I don't think it's going to do what we expect it to do. But it's a shot. It's the fraternity saying, and I like it. But at the end of the day, I mean, quite frankly, no, you're absolutely. Well, they fixed it. I can't trust it. When it first started, it was terrible. There's not a moment that goes by. Right, I got to the kingdom part. I said, I'm not going to sit here. I want to ship this stuff. Right. Stuff drives me crazy. You probably don't believe it. It's just wrong. It's not
Well,
that.
the plan,
It's not what
the
we're
plan was to be yeah. Well, I enjoy because I can
the offense was
talk
not
to my kids in Europe
I don't. So in that case, the
and I can see them in the woods. You know, that still doesn't.
not by a
Still not a good substitute for doing it. Well, that's true. It's a lot better than what it was,
that was the thought.
where you just had a phone call. Oh, my grandkids, yeah. Oh,
Oh well.
crowns on, and a spider walking
We
across.
just have to work on the line, just to make sure there's due diligence. That's why we work for it.
Somebody's
make
got
sure
way too much time.
I don't think it'll go out until it's not gonna go out. I suppose we could go next week sometime. Well, we don't. We can decide if you say. Why not? We want to send it in August, so they deck out in September. Otherwise, you would say we'll send receipt because they're going to the army. If they do, then. You had
No, I drove her over to the casino. She did all this stuff. She's seen installations. See, that's what she told me. She's seen right down, you know, so you, okay, so you're not gonna get the rebates, that's, because I talked to him today, we get an idea. Well, the COVID, the COVID really, is it the chips?
Yeah, that's what I. Are you kidding? So they're just warehousing it until they got the chips.
Then they wait for the chips to put them in.
Yeah, they got a simple.
But the problem is once the vehicle is built, tax starts. You have to plan for it. That's a big deal. You can't have those.
If we could have all the past grandmasters please come down front. We have a special presentation for our grandmaster-elect.
Marquito, you can just sit there and we good. Are we gonna,
And we need her. You're right in the middle there. I got
Did he say that? Get your ass down here.
Get your ass down here. Don't fall either.
First Brother Larry Inchko, it's with great pleasure and honor that I get to present you with your Grandmaster's apron. Oops. How many past grands does it take to put on an apron?
quite a few.
We don't know. We haven't got it on yet.
Gee, it even fits.
You check that.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Brethren, we are about to install the officers of the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the State of Michigan. Right Worshipful Grand Secretary, read the list of officers-elect, and the officer's own name will step forward to the altar and take position in order of rank, the most worshipful Grand Master nearest the south.
I can't see who's first. Doc? All right. From Solomon's Key, Lodge number 580, Gary Doc Bowdler and his wife Diane, Grand Steward. I can't see who that is either. That is John, okay. From Lincoln Park Ionic Lodge number 539, Grand Steward John Andrus and his wife Martha. And from Clarkston and Cedar 60 Lodge, Worship Brother Tom Braun, steward. From Kalamazoo and Kalamazoo Anchor Lodge number 22, the Grand Organist Gerald E. Millar and his wife Janie. From Wayne and Wayne Lodge number 112, the Worshipful Grand Tyler Roger D. Moore and his wife Debbie. From Monroe and Monroe 27, the Worshipful Grand Marshal Mike Roberts and his wife Brenda. Rebecca. I didn't say the first one. Rebecca. From Howell and Brighton Lodge number 247, the Worshipful Junior Grand Deacon James Huff and his wife Deborah. From Grosse Point Woods and Olive Branch Lodge number 553, the Worshipful Senior Grand Deacon William J. Sauget. From Roseville and Roseville Lodge number 522, the Right Worshipful Grand Chaplain George Patrick Thompson. From Clarkston and Cedar Lodge number 60, the Right Worshipful Grand Lecturer Thomas Braun. From Brownstown and Solomon Key Lodge number 580, the Right Worshipful Grand Secretary William R. Finkel. From Grosse Point Park and Composite Lodge number 499, the Right Worshipful Grand Treasurer David G. Boring. From Allen Park and Lincoln Park Ionic Lodge number 539, the Right Worshipful Junior Grand Warden Eugene E. Abatico and his wife Brenda. From Gaines and Byram Lodge number 80, the Right Worshipful Senior Grand Warden Larry L. Judson and his wife Mary Ann. From Farmington and Solomon Key Lodge number 580, the Right Worshipful Deputy Grand Master Leonard K. Davis and his wife Anita. And if you would all please be upstanding. From Fostoria and North Branch Lodge number 312, the Most Worshipful Grand Master Larry A. Incho. And his wife Kathy.
Some of them don't spread too well there, I've noticed.
Most Worshipful Sir, I present to be installed as officers of the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the State of Michigan, these persons, each of whom, having been duly chosen, now declares himself ready for installation.
Brethren of the Grand Lodge, you here behold these brothers, each of whom, having been duly chosen, now declares himself ready for installation. If you know of a valid reason why any one of them should not be installed, state your objection now, or else forever after hold your peace. There be no objection, we shall now proceed with the installation. Brethren, the first lesson that we are taught in Masonry is that no man should ever enter upon any great and important undertaking without first invoking the blessing of deity. Let us, therefore, before proceeding with this important ceremony, invoke the blessing of the Supreme Architect of the universe.
Most holy and glorious God, we approach thee with reverence and implore thy blessing on these brothers chosen to preside over this grand lodge. Fill their hearts with thy love, that their tongues and actions may proclaim thy glory. Make them steadfast in thy service. Grant them firmness of mind. Animate their hearts and strengthen their endeavors. May they teach thy judgments and thy laws and be thy true and faithful servants. Bless them, O Lord, and bless the work of their hands. Accept us in mercy. Hear thou our prayers, and grant our earnest supplication. Amen.
Glory be. Worshipful Grand Marshal, present the Most Worshipful Master-elect, Grand Master-elect, at the altar for installation.
Most Worshipful Sir, I present my worthy brother Larry Inchko, Grand Master-elect of this Grand Lodge, to receive at your hands the rite of installation, the better to prepare him for the discharge of the duties of his important office. I know him to be of good morals and great skill, true and trusty, and as he is a lover of our noble fraternity, wheresoever dispersed over the face of the earth, I doubt not that he will discharge the duties of his office with fidelity, with honor to himself, and profit to the craft.
Brother Larry Inshow, you are about to install as only the 174th man over a period of 195 years. During that time of that period that reaches into the millions, to hold the office of Most Worshipful Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the state of Michigan. It is, my brother, a great honor to be able to serve this Grand Lodge as its Grand Master. It is also a great responsibility. You are the leader of our fraternity. Whether we progress or decline, whether we work together in peace and harmony or suffer from confusion and discord, will be in a large measure depend upon you. You set the direction. You set the tone. I encourage you to always remember the cardinal virtues of our order: temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice, and to ever live by our tenets of brotherly love, relief, and truth. In addition to the fraternal side of your office, you also have great responsibilities for the business side of our fraternity. The Grand Lodge of Michigan and its subsidiary corporations make up a multi-million-dollar organization, and the Grand Master serves as its chairman of the board. As such, your fiduciary responsibility to this Grand Lodge cannot be overstated. My brother, when you were installed as worshipful master of your lodge, you promised to uphold the ancient charges, regulations, and landmarks, and took upon yourself an obligation. Do you once again consent to those charges, regulations, and landmarks, and do you reconfirm that obligation?
I do.
Then you will advance to the altar and kneel on both knees. Brother Larry, say aye, pronounce your name in full, and repeat after me.
I, Larry Allen Insko,
In the presence of Almighty God
in the presence of Almighty God
and these witnesses,
and these witnesses,
do hereby solemnly promise
do hereby solemnly promise
that I will accept the office
that I will accept the office
of Most Worshipful Grand Master
of Most Worshipful Grand Master,
of Free and Accepted Masons
Free and Accepted Masons
of the state of Michigan,
of the state of Michigan,
and the duties of that high office
and the duties of that high office
faithfully,
faithfully,
zealously,
zealously,
and impartially administer
and impartially administer
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
for the ensuing 12 months,
for the ensuing 12 months,
and until a successor
and until a successor
shall have been duly elected
shall have been duly elected
and installed in my stead.
and installed in my stead.
I further promise,
I further promise
that I will support and uphold
that I will support and uphold
the Constitution,
the Constitution,
laws,
laws,
edicts,
edicts,
rituals, and ceremonies
rituals, and ceremonies
of the Grand Lodge,
of the Grand Lodge,
and that I will in all things
and that I will, in all things,
conscientiously discharge my duties
conscientiously discharge my
as
duties
a ruler of the craft
as a ruler of the craft
and as Most Worshipful Grand Master
and as Most Worshipful Grand Master
of this jurisdiction.
of this jurisdiction.
So help me God,
So help me God,
and keep me steadfast
and keep me steadfast
in this my solemn obligation.
in this my solemn obligation.
Brother, having thus confirmed that you will support and uphold and faithfully discharge the duties of your office, you will now be invested with the jewel of that office.
like to meet my most wonderful husband you knew, Grandmaster.
Thank you. Most worshipful Grandmaster, by immemorial usage and the irrevocable landmarks of Masonry, you are now invested as Grand Master of Masons in Michigan with powers and prerogatives which are well nigh absolute. The interest of the craft, for good or for bad, is placed in your hands. I would offer these words of admonition. The very consciousness of the possession of great power will ever make a generous mind cautious and gentle in its exercise. To rule has been the lot of many. To rule well has been the fortune of a few. The office of Grand Master is one of great antiquity and respect, and is one of the highest dignities to which we may aspire. But you should never forget that although you hold the office of Grand Master, you are first and foremost a Master Mason, and I solemnly enjoin you ever to walk and act as such. Right Worshipful Grand Marshal, will you conduct our Most Worshipful Grand Master to the east? Masons only, please. Most worshipful Grand Master, behold your brethren. Brethren, behold your most worshipful Grand Master. Brethren, together attend the grand honors, taking your time from the Right Worshipful Grand Marshal.
Thank you, brothers.
The remaining officers and all Masons present will kindly rise, place your right hand over your heart, and together repeat the oath of fidelity. To the high purposes of universal Masonry.
To the high purposes of universal Masonry.
To brotherly love, relief, and truth.
To brotherly love, relief, and truth.
To the promotion of harmony in this grand jurisdiction.
To the promotion of harmony in this grand jurisdiction.
To the realization of its highest ideals.
To the realization of its highest ideals.
Of character and of life.
Of character and of life.
We here and now pledge anew.
We here and now pledge anew.
Our most earnest and unceasing efforts.
Our most earnest and unceasing efforts.
Amen.
Amen.
So mote it be. Worshipful Grand Marshal, present the several grand officers elect in order for installation.
Most worshipful sir, I present Brother Leonard Davis, Deputy Grand Master-elect.
Right Worshipful Brother Leonard Kelly Davis, you have been elected by your brethren to the second highest office in their gift, that of Deputy Grand Master, and you'll now be invested with the jewel of your office. Nice touch, Anita. Oh, boy. My brother, your duties are varied and many. It is your duty to assist the most worshipful Grand Master by every means in your power. In the absence of the Grand Master, you are to preside over this Grand Lodge. By virtue of your office, you are now a member of the Board of Directors of this Grand Lodge, the Board of Trustees of the Michigan Masonic Home, and the Michigan Charitable Foundation. As Deputy Grand Master, you are also the Chairman of the Future Program Development Committee of this Grand Lodge. I would encourage you to use this year to learn, to plan, and to prepare yourself for next year. Congratulations, brother.
Thanks.
Most worshipful sir, I present my brother Larry Judson, Senior Grand Warden-elect.
Right Worshipful Brother Larry Judson, you have been elected Right Worshipful Senior Grand Warden and will now be invested with the jewel of your office. The level demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock, partake of the same nature, share the same hopes, and though distinctions among men are necessary to preserve subordination, result in order, yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brethren, and that he who is placed on the lowest spoke of fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard. Because the time will come, and the wisest knows not how soon, when all distinctions but that of virtue shall cease, and death, the great leveler of human greatness, will reduce us to the same state. My brother, as Senior Grand Warden, you are too are a member of the Board of Directors of this Grand Lodge and a member of the Board of Trustees of the Michigan Masonic Charitable Foundation. You are now also, by virtue of your office, a member of the very important Investment Committee, which is responsible for overseeing the investments of the funds of the Grand Lodge and its subsidiaries. We firmly rely on your knowledge of Masonry and your attachment to this Grand Lodge for the faithful discharge of the duties of your important trust. Look well to the west.
Most worshipful sir, I present my worthy brother Eugene Abatico, Junior Grand Warden-elect.
Right Worshipful Brother Eugene Abatico, you have been elected to Junior Grand Warden of this Grand Lodge and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is the plum.
You're good, hon.
My brother, moving to Junior Grand Warden is one of the biggest transitions the Grand Lodge officer makes. You are making the big jump, as it has been called. You are now a member of the Grand Lodge Board of Directors and a trustee of the Michigan Masonic Charitable Foundations. These are two very important positions. Your duties and responsibilities to this Grand Lodge have just been greatly increased, and I have no doubt that you will well and faithfully perform the duties of your important trust. Look well to the south.
worshipful sir, I present my worthy brother David Boring, Grand Treasurer-elect. Brother David, you have been elected Grand Treasurer of this Grand Lodge and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is the cross keys, an emblem of security. I'm going to put this baby on you, but I ain't kissing you.
You got that.
Brother David, as Grand Treasurer, you are a member of the Board of Directors of this Grand Lodge. You'll also serve on the Board of Trustees of the Michigan Masonic Home and the Michigan Masonic Charitable Foundation, and are the treasurer of each of those bodies, and therefore responsible for the financial well-being of the Grand Lodge and all of its subsidiaries. I have no doubt that you will exercise this duty in the same manner that you always have. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I don't want to install you. What the- You're next. Okay. Most worshipful sir, I reluctantly present my worthy brother, Bill Finkel, Grand Secretary-elect of this Grand Lodge.
Get no respect. Most worshipful Brother Finkel, you have been elected Grand Secretary of this Grand Lodge and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is the crossed pens, a most appropriate emblem of your duties.
Just take the picture, Doc.
Most worshipful Brother Bill, your duties are many and varied. You are a member of the Board of Directors of the Grand Lodge and a trustee of the Michigan Masonic Charitable Foundation. It is your duty to record the proceedings of Grand Lodge, as well as the minutes of the Board of Directors and Charitable Foundation boards. You are responsible for receiving all monies due to the Grand Lodge. You are responsible for keeping all the records of this Grand Lodge, maintaining communication with the lodges and with their sister grand jurisdictions, and all the other duties which always seem to fall upon the Secretary. Your good inclination toward Masonry and this Grand Lodge, I know, will induce you to discharge the duties of your office with fidelity, and by doing so you will merit, as you already have, the esteem and applause of your brethren.
Master. That's the next sheet. It's underneath. Oh, you got it.
Most worshipful sir, I present my worthy brother Thomas Braun, Grand Lecturer-elect of this Grand Lodge.
Right worshipful Brother Tom, you have been elected Grand Lecturer of the Grand Lodge and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is the hexagram, more commonly known as the Star of David. My brother, it is your duty to thoroughly acquaint yourself with the work and the lectures of the 3 degrees of ancient craft masonry according to the standards of this Grand Lodge. You are responsible for the general supervision of the regional Grand Lecturers and the district deputy instructors, and are also responsible for imparting to them and instructing them in the Michigan Masonic work. You have charge of teaching our ritualistic work during your term of office, subject always to the Grand Master, and I know you'll continue to do your job with honor and integrity. Congratulations, Tom.
Most worshipful sir, I present my worthy brother G. Patrick Thompson, Grand Chaplain-elect of this Grand Lodge.
Right Worshipful Brother, Reverend and Dr. George Patrick Thompson, Esquire. You have been elected Grand Chaplain of this Grand Lodge and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is appropriately an open Bible. My brother, it is your duty to perform for this Grand Lodge those solemn services which we shall constantly render to our infinite Creator. It is also your duty to attend our communications and to conduct such religious services as are established by the usages of ancient craft masonry and this Grand Lodge.
Most worshipful sir, I present my worthy brother William Wild Bill Sauget, Senior Grand Deacon-elect of this Grand Lodge.
Worshipful Brother Wild, you have been elected to the office of Worshipful Senior Grand Deacon. That's the most inappropriate nickname for him in history. And are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is the square and compass enclosing the blazing sun. Oh, another one.
Uh-oh, watch out, Anita, you're getting pressed into service again. Lucky you.
She's getting good at it.
Is she? Thank you very much, I appreciate it. There's a special place in heaven reserved for you. Thank you.
It is your duty to attend upon the Most Worshipful Grand Master and to act as his proxy in the active discharge of the duties of the Grand Lodge. You are to see to the introduction and accommodation of visitors and other duties as may be assigned to you. The impressiveness of our ceremonies will depend largely upon the dignity and efficiency with which you perform your duties, and I doubt not that those duties in this office in your hands will receive due care and attention. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Most worshipful sir, I present my worthy brother Jim Huff,
Junior Grand Deacon-elect of this Grand Lodge.
My worthy brother Jim, you have been elected to the office of the Worshipful Junior Grand Deacon and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is a square and compass enclosing a half moon. The similarity of your jewel to that of the Worshipful Senior Grand Deacon indicates in a measure the similarity of your duties to his. You are the active proxy of the wardens, and it is also your duty to see that the Grand Lodge is duly tiled. I doubt not that you will be diligent and faithful in the discharge of your duties. Congratulations, Brother Jim.
Thank you.
Most worshipful sir, I have the honor to present Worshipful Brother Michael Roberts, Grand Marshal-elect of this Grand Lodge.
Worshipful Brother Michael, you have been elected to the office of Worshipful Grand Marshal of this Grand Lodge and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is the crossed batons, an emblem of your authoritative directing power. It is your province to have charge of the Grand Lodge on all public occasions when it is in line of march, and you will therefore be responsible for the appearance of the brethren on those public occasions, both as to the manner and character of their dress, the dignity of their appearance, and the skill with which they perform the various evolutions prescribed by our Masonic ceremonies. You should be ever attentive to the needs and commands of the Grand Master, and always be near at hand to see them duly executed. You are to assist the Grand Master by every means in your power in the quiet and orderly disposition of the Grand Lodge and the conduct of its work. I doubt not that your interest in the welfare of this Grand Lodge will prompt you to exercise your best endeavors to discharge properly the duties of your office. Congratulations, Mike.
Most worshipful sir, I present my brother Roger Moore, Grand Tyler of this Grand Lodge.
Worship Brother Roger Moore, you have been elected Worshipful Grand Tyler of this Grand Lodge and are now invested with the jewel of your office, which is the sword.
It's up to you.
Think at an appropriate time and place you will also be invested with the implement of your office, but I'm sure they're a little concerned about giving you sharp, pointy objects. So.
I understand. I was told not to.
As the sword is placed in the hands of the worshipful Grand Tyler to enable him to effectually guard against the approach of cowens or eavesdroppers and suffer none to pass or repass without permission, so it should admonish us to set a guard over our thoughts, a watch at our lips, and post a sentinel over our actions, thereby preventing the approach of every unworthy thought or deed to our hearts, and preserving our conscience void of offense toward God and man.
Sorry, Bill.
Most worshipful sir, I present worshipful brother Gerald Millar, grand musician of this Grand Lodge. Brother Jerry, your jewel is the lyre, and I'll go get your wife to put it on.
Thank you. Get rid of the split. You? Did you get it? There's a button that says split. Punch it.
Yeah, you're not playing. He's in charge now. Brother Jerry, this is the 16th time that I've had the honor of installing you as worshipful musician of this Grand Lodge. I first appointed you to this position in 2006, and every Grand Master subsequently has done the same. And they've done that because of your dedication to the fraternity. And not to mention, you don't play too bad. It's not bad. You know, in addition to the 16 times I've installed you as grand musician, I've also installed you, I believe, 21 times as musician of your lodge.
At least.
So you are number one. I've installed you more than anybody else in history. So congratulations.
Well played.
Most worshipful sir, I present to be installed as Grand Stewards, Brother Tom Braun, Brother John Andrus, and Brother Gary Doc Bowdler.
Brethren, you have been appointed stewards of this Grand Lodge, and now are each invested with the jewel of your office, which is the cornucopia, signifying plenty.
All right, find the right guy.
Let's see.
Go ahead. You can pick.
She can just call me with my name, it's okay. Haven't you agreed to say that?
Hey.
You have been appointed to this position because of your dedication and devotion to the Grand Lodge of Michigan, and for your continual personal support and friendship. I hope that you will accept this honor gracefully and enjoy the experience you will realize this year. Thank you.
Worshipful Grand Marshal,
Most worshipful sir.
make the proclamation. Masons only, please.
In the name of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the State of Michigan, I proclaim that the officers of the Grand Lodge of Michigan have been duly installed. This I proclaim to the south, to the west, and from the east. The craft will take due and timely notice thereof and govern themselves accordingly. Together, brethren, attend grand honors.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, congratulations and have a wonderful year.
Thank you. It is really humbling being up here, and I'm really humbled that I've been appointed, elected to serve you as your Grand Master. It's going to be a great year. We're going to bring Masonry back out of the light, or out of the darkness of the COVID pandemic, and get us going again. This time I do want, because it's a great honor for me to be able to have my three sisters here with me. My sisters Cassie, Connie, and Colleen. Thank you guys for sharing this with me. Today I was installed on my father's Masonic Bible with his gavel when I installed him as Worshipful Master in North Branch Lodge 312. And I want to take this time to thank my installing staff today. They did an excellent job. Most Worshipful Brother Bill.
Most Worshipful Grand Master.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thank you.
Most Worshipful Brother Bob. Most Worshipful Brother Walt. Thank you. Most Worshipful Brother Bob. And with that, brothers, I have couple things to clean up for earlier. It's my honor to be able to announce the Mason of the Year this year is Tom Black from Lisbon Crescent Lodge. And he was here earlier, but congratulations, Tom. And Worshipful Brother James Larson is received the Grand Master's Distinguished Service Award and past Most Worshipful Grand Master. What was your name again? But I'm sure it's going to get taken care of. Thank you. Could I have the brothers in my lodge come up from North Branch Lodge number 312? Worship Brother Craig, you want to bring up the brothers from your lodge? Yep, right after this. Yep. You want to say? Go ahead.
Our lodge, Traverse City, number 222, one of the best lodges in the state of Michigan, now present to Lodge 312 North Branch, for our most worshipful Grand Master, Larry Inchel, this banner. We thank you with all of our hearts, Grand Master.
Thank you. Thank you, brothers. Right, worshipful Brother Tom.
Would all the BGPs please rise? My brothers, you have been duly elected by the lodges in your respective districts to a position of great importance in the structure of this Grand Lodge. As a member of the Board of General Purposes, you have an obligation to all of the lodges in your district. In addition to the legislative duties you perform for this Grand Lodge, it is also your duty to assist the lodges in your district by any means in your power. You are to be a mentor, an advisor, a leader, a teacher. You are there to help. The future of our fraternity does not rest with our Grand Lodge, but with each individual lodge. They are the foundation upon which all else rests. It is all of our jobs to make that foundation strong. I charge each of you to help in strengthening that foundation and to exercise your best endeavors to discharge properly the duties of your office. For in doing so, you will merit the esteem and applause of your brethren. Thank you, brothers.
Worshipful Grand Marshal. We present Most Worshipful Brother Craig Mason, south of the altar.
Most Worshipful Brother Craig, it's an honor for me to be able to present you with your past Grand Master's jewel. The first time I remember meeting Craig, he was the master of Traverse City Lodge 222, and I was Grand Master, and his lodge won Lodge of the Year. I made the mistake of saying, "Would you like to say a few words?" So after Craig went on for a little bit, I started tugging on the back of his coat, and he didn't really get the hint right away. And finally, I just said, "Okay, that's nice, you're done." And I should have learned back then, but I didn't. And but Craig, it's been a pleasure knowing you all these years. As many of the people in this room know, we worked together for several years at the Charitable Foundation, which was a wonderful experience for both of us. This past Grand Master's jewel was first worn by Most Worshipful Brother C. Fuller Dorr, and then by Most Worshipful Brother Donald Van Kirk. And it's a pleasure for me, on behalf of the Grand Lodge of Michigan, to present you with this jewel.
Most Worshipful Brother Craig, it gives me great honor to be able to present you with your small but very distinguished pin. And I know you're going to wear it with great honor. You did a great job, and we truly appreciate what you did for Michigan Masonry. because of COVID restrictions and other things this year, we're just going to declare that all the DDIs are duly installed. Right Wishful Grand Lecturer is going to take care of that as he goes around. So the regional Grand Lectures and the DDIs are installed. Once again, brothers, it's really truly a humbling to be able to stand here before you as your Grand Master. I'm looking forward to this year. We're going to have a lot of fun. The Grand Lodge officers are going to be out there and about to help you guys in any way you need. And with that, at the end of this, I'm going to close, and then the BGPs would like to come up and get some pins for their districts, and then thank you so much for being here. With that, I declare the 195th Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of Michigan duly closed.